Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having a great day today. For this week's video, we are tackling the beautiful song Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. So what we're going to do is arrange that piece for guitar. Let's get started. So as we play this song together, the tab is going to be on the bottom of the screen. If you guys want paper copies, I will make them available on the tab store. You can grab them by following the link above. And if you support the channel on Patreon, I will make the tab available there as well. Now the song Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen is such a beautiful poetic piece, and we're going to try to translate that onto guitar. So the first thing we need to do is look at the chords involved in the song, and thankfully there's not too many. And then secondly, we need to look at the picking pattern. So let's do that now. All right, you guys, so let's start by looking at the chords that we need to play the song. So first of all, we need a G major, then we need an E minor. Now both of those chords you can strum all 6 strings on your guitar. Now the next 2 chords, the C major is only 5th string and down, D major is 4th string and down, and then we have B7 over D sharp. This only happens once in the song. It's a little bit trickier than the other chords, so let's check that out. And that's what it sounds like. So if you're more new to guitar, I would suggest just strumming 4 times through each of the chords just to get your fingers used to making these shapes. Okay, and then of course adding the B7 over D sharp. All right, you guys, now that we know the chords involved in playing this piece, let's take a look at the right hand pattern. Now, thankfully, there's no skipping strings at all, so all the pattern is moving down a few strings and back, down a few strings and back. You can play it with a flat pick if you want, but for this lesson, we're going to use our right hand so that we can practice some fingerstyle. So here we go. It's going to be thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index. Thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index, and it sounds like this. Okay, so now that we know our chords and our finger picking pattern, it's time to start the piece. So let's take a look at the intro. We only have 2 chords, so it's a G and an E minor. Let's practice our finger picking pattern moving through that. Now in the tab you can see there's a 2nd fret that we haven't added yet. So let's do that now. It's going to be a passing note between the 2 chords, between the G and the E minor. Let's try that. Okay, and I always like to use my index finger for that passing note. Okay, now let's take a look at the verse. Now the first 4 chords are just G, E minor, G, E minor. Now for the G major chord, we don't need 1st string and 2nd string, so we're just going to remove them, keep it simple, and play 6th string and 5th string. Now what I like to do is pivot around my 1st finger, and that's going to be on 2nd fret. So we play our G shape, then pivot to an E minor, pivot back to a G, and just moving your wrist back and forth. Okay, and I find that to be a very easy fingering. It sounds like this. Okay, now the next 4 chords are C, D, and then G and D. So when we start our G chord, or rather our C chord, we're going to start on the 5th string. So we're going to take our right hand pattern and just simply move it down 1 string. Same pattern, but starting on 5th. And then when we play our D chord, we're going to do the same pattern, but start on 4th string. Okay, and then back to G, and back to D. Now the next section of the song we're going to tackle is the pre-chorus. Now this is the most difficult section of the piece, and the reason is because we have a C and a D in the same bar. That's the second measure, and then when we look at the next line of the pre-chorus we have that B7 over D sharp. So a couple tricky little sections, let's look at those first. Now the C and the D together, we're just going to play 3 notes because we're in 6/8 and we have to split those 2 chords. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, switch, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and it sounds like this. So just a quick switch between that C and the D, and that can be really tricky. And then when we flip to the next line, we have a B7 in the second measure, and that's a B7 over D sharp. Now normally we'd play our B7 like this, but we don't need that lower B, so we can just play. And that's a unique shape that maybe, if you're a new player, you're not used to playing. So anyway, let's work our way slowly through the pre-chorus. Here we go. Next, let's move on to the chorus. Now thankfully it's beautifully easy. We have 2 bars of C, 2 bars of E minor, and then 2 bars of C, and then a G and a D. So nothing too complex. Let's play through that nice and slow and then up to speed. Here we go. And then we switch to our E minor. Back to C major. And then from here to the G, you could probably just move your fingers up like this or switch to your stronger fingers. Either way is fine. And then D major, remember with our right hand, we need to start it on 4th string. Okay, and then up to speed. And finally, the last section of the song is the outro. And thankfully, it's exactly the same as the intro. So we have our G, passing note on F sharp, E minor, passing note on F sharp, back to G, and of course it sounds like this. All right, you guys, let's work our way through the song at a nice medium tempo. Here we go. Now, if you guys want to play this song in the original key, you'll have to put a capo on 5th fret and then just use the same chords and tab as we've gone through it today. And of course, if you want to sing and play along, you can just move the capo to wherever is good for your vocals and use the same chord and tabs. And of course, as you guys get more and more comfortable playing the basic version of the song, there's always other levels you can add or more ornamentation you can add. So if you're doing solo guitar, like I did off the top of the video, you could play the melody and the chords together, right? So there's always various interesting things that you can add to a basic guitar arrangement. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It's one of my favorite pieces to just sit down and play on guitar, so I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you guys next week with a new video. Take care.